Greetings, Commanders. I am Commander Link Savage, and thanks for tuning in to Space Vehicle Virgins, the series where we take a look at and test drive the ships currently available to commanders of the Pilots Federation. This episode, we're featuring the main ship from the new sci-fi miniseries taking place in the Elite Dangerous universe, Excalibur, the Python. More specifically, the Starjammer. The four-part series premiere of Excalibur features a ship named the Starjammer. The Starjammer is piloted by a crew of good-natured petty criminals that find themselves in the middle of a plot to destroy the human bubble. It's no wonder this crew chose to fly the Python, though. The Python, anyone who has flown anything knows of this remarkable ship, is, well, remarkable in almost every way possible. The design itself is older and does not feature ship-launched fighters like the newer medium ship offerings from DeLacy, Lakon, and Core Dynamics, but that does not stop this ship from being a pilot favorite. Most will argue that the Python is indeed the best medium ship in the universe, and it is well-earned praise. The Python features many hard points. A metric ton of space, multi-crew capable, correct side drive, fairly maneuverable, fairly quick, fairly well armored, and can do anything. Not almost anything, not most things, anything. It excels in pretty much every category. Full round mining, check. Bounties, check. Exploration, check. Piracy, check. Trading, check. PvP, check. Conflict zones, check. Look cool, check. The hardpoint locations make it very easy to use a mix of gimbaled and fixed weapons. The secret power of the Python is this, however. With the correct build, you can make a Python that is truly multi-purpose without having to make it purpose-built. Get what I'm saying? There are a lot of ships out there that are multi-purpose ships, but you have to build them per purpose. They can't really be multi-purpose at the same time. Well, the Python, yeah, it's truly multi-purpose. It's amazing. For example, you can build a Python to be a bounty hunter and a miner in the same build, and it will do both really well. There are very few ships that could do that without being one of the big four. The look of the Python is not fully unique. The line of lights along the top crest is a defining feature, but if you compare it to, say, a Viper Mach 3, it's not that far of a departure from design if you really look at it. The Python is not a cheap ship to buy, but it is a reasonable ship to rebuy, even when it's A-rated. It is definitely a ship that you have to earn, however. But if you guys follow the noob streams with Dr. Oculus and I, you already know how to get the funds. A-rating this ship was not cheap. I think I spent a little over 125 million credits, give or take, to A-rate. And that's buy and A-rate. I wanted to have an it's not all roses moment, but I have little to complain about with this ship, aside from two things. I'll give you two. One is a thing, and the other is purely subjective. The lack of ship-launched fighters sort of moves this ship to secondary status for many. When you have the crate Mach 2 running around with better looks, similar stats, and a ship-launched fighter, it's easy to see why many Python pilots hopped over to the crate. The other thing, the Python to me, it lacks a soul. The ship does everything so well that it loses the personality that comes with singular purpose ships. Compare the atmosphere of the Python to the atmosphere of even a Type 7. The Type 7 is not a pretty ship and is limited in what it does, but hop in the pilot seat. The atmosphere of the ship is pretty awesome. The ship has a soul. The Python, however, well, it's so busy trying to be everything that its personality is, it's shallow at worst. This is why the Python's not my daily driver. But this doesn't stop me from enjoying the Python for the multi-talented dynamo that it is, make no mistake. I always end up having a good time whenever I'm in the pilot seat of the Python. The interior also carries over that muscle car feeling from the Viper, but has, of course, expanded on it. So if you look at the exterior, it's a similar shape. It's not, you don't put them side by side and say, yeah, that's the same ship. But you can look at one, look at the other, and see the design cues. That carries on into the interior. It sort of feels like the difference between having a 70 Camaro and a 2011 Camaro. Familiar, but updated. Personal bias, it's also correct side drive. That's always a bonus for me. The ship does support a crew of 2, so you can share the fun of any task that you want to do with other pilots. The canopy is very Viper-like in that it's not bad, but it's not great, and it feels more like a chop top than a huge Lakon-like greenhouse. Check out the vents though. I love this touch. It really does feel like you're stepping into the best American muscle you can buy. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look under the hood of the Starjammer. So this ship is built specifically for the show, and the idea is that the pilot is I'm trying not to give too much away. He's a bounty hunter, doesn't mind thieving, doesn't mind petty crime, and that's kind of what colors him as a person, because he does have morals. He does have points that are too far. He's definitely not lawful good. I guess you could find him more along the lines of, neutral good. We'll put him there. So the ship is supposed to reflect that. And this is what the build is to reflect that. There are still some things where if I were to actually use this build in open, there are a lot of changes I would have to make just for survivability. But for the sake of the show, this is how it's built. The beam lasers, these are really impressive to look at, impressive to film, impressive to shoot. So we've definitely got those, and you never run out. And I want to make sure that the ammo you never run out of is the most impressive looking. We have, the multi-cannons, because those are impressive looking as well. And there is a crew for this ship. And because there's a crew for this ship, these are actually actively used in some scenes. As for the core internals, if I were to take this out, for real, these lightweights would have to go for military. But we have the lightweights on there. They're fine for now. A-rated the power plant. 7A power plant gives us a lot of power. It could definitely use some engineering with this build, just so that way everything can be used all at once. It just makes it a little bit easier to film when you don't have to wait for things to boot up and shut down and everything else. So that the engineering for this will probably be incoming. The thrusters, well, this is a bounty hunting ship. I want to engineer these thrusters just to kind of give them more of a raw feeling for some of these shoots. But for now, it's absolutely fine. Or I should say, if I were flying this for real. But for the show, this is absolutely fine. The things that you can't really do on film, you could do in post, so that's just fine. Frameshift drive definitely is what it is. Right now it's running 34.88 light year jumps. Getting from place to place for a lot of these locations is a big deal and you don't want to take forever. But this is to me, this is average, 34, 35, 30. That's average with the 5H Guardian booster on it. But it's good enough. It gets us there. The life support, things do happen, and sometimes we're really far away from a place and you need to go and repair it. So that's actually necessary and useful. As for the power distributor, this is absolutely great. It allows me to, for some of the stunt scenes, have shields up while firing and not really needing to wait for reloads or refresh time or any recharge time. Mostly because you're filming and you kind of want to get things done quickly when you're working with other people. You don't want to take up their time. The sensors aren't really necessary, but if I were taking this out, for me personally, I like A rating everything. So that would be A rated. As for the optionals, I want this to actually be able to do what it's supposed to do without having to take long trips back here just to build it out. So I probably wouldn't really change this very much. I probably would rethink the shields, but I really wouldn't change this very much in terms of the functionality of the ship and what it's supposed to be doing. So cargo rack, because it does need to be able to hold something. So I got the biggest cargo rack I could. We have recon limpet controllers because this is supposed to be a not so lawful ship doing not so lawful things. The shield generator, this is just kind of the best I could afford to put on here. I know you see the balance is higher now, but for the purposes of this show, I did not want to go overboard for it. It's not necessary. Of course, the frameshift drive booster, because damn it, filming on location is a big deal and it takes time to jump from system to system. Fewer jumps, the better. 5B fuel scoop, the more you can scoop in a go, the better, the less time it takes you to get to where you need to go. Planetary vehicle hangar for when I am actually shooting with this particular ship and using the SRVs. That does come into play at a couple points in time throughout the series, especially during the first 4 parts of this premiere. Collector limpets, hatch breaker limpets, because it needs to do those things. Advanced docking computer makes things a bit easier to film. I can get shots by myself that I would otherwise need to have another pilot around to get, or risk doing it myself, which has worked out on occasion, but not so much. Anyhow, same with the Super Cruise Assist. It makes it, I like the feature that puts you into orbit around the planet. So I've been able to get some really good shots of the planet being in orbit of the planet and using this ship as the camera, essentially. And of course the planetary approach suite, that's normal. The livery is what the livery is. We'll go over it just for the sake of the show, just for looks. So yes, it's using Tactical Crimson, named Starjammer. It's the Starjammer 1. Just for some close-ups. Yes, that's the front decal for it. These are the modifications for it. And I don't keep anything on here for sake of the show because this isn't personal use. This isn't my daily driver. It's specifically for the show. And of course, the scarabs have to match. So they do. And that is it. Normally what I would do next is take this out. So let's see what we have in store, because I don't think that taking this out for a canyon run is really going to be that exciting. Now I will say that this is a ship. This is usually a point where I would take this ship to a Great Canyon planet and do some stuff like try to run the canyons, but this is definitely not a ship to do that with. But that is also not a gameplay feature, so I can't judge this ship by that. So we're going to skip that for a moment and instead just take a quick look at the teaser for Excalibur. Take a look. Whoa, hey, it's just you.
Yeah, it's just little old me. I see you ain't doing nothing but listening to old crap Earth music.
Yeah, only raggedy old farts.
What you say, boy?
Nothing. What can I do for you this evening, Jeremy?
You better mind your mouth, boy. I got a job for you. A bunch of Zetas got their hands on an artifact. I want that artifact.
And the pay?
35 million credits. You in?
Yeah, I'm in. I need an assistant to screen my calls.
Ahem. I am right here, Commander. I did not receive a command to screen your calls.
I edited your code, gave you the freedom to choose, and you choose to be AI.
Try harder next time.
You made a fool out of me and took the skin off my back running. So don't breathe when I talk, 'cause you haven't been spoken to. I got a gun for a mouth and a bullet with your name on it. But a trigger for a heartbeat and blood from an empty pocket.
So that is the Python. This ship stood out among the rest as the perfect ship for the Excalibur series. This ship is the most versatile mid-sized ship in the galaxy, even without ship-launched fighters. Familiar but updated interior and the familiar shape to the Viper makes you feel like you've upgraded from Gen 1 to Gen 30. It's easy to see why so many pilots are Python for life. Well, that is all for this episode of Space Vehicle Virgins. We have plenty of ships to look at and fly. Be sure to hit the like button below, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to hit the bell button so you'll be alerted as to when new videos are uploaded. Till next time, I am Link Savage, and I gotta get this ship back to the set before they call the feds on me. Fly right and see you in the black.